I'm standing in the international arrivals terminal at JFK, my phone clutched in my sweating palm, watching the customs exit like a hawk watching prey. Any minute now, any minute, and everything changes. My sister Maya doesn't know I'm here. She doesn't know anything, really. She doesn't know that I've lived this day before. She doesn't know that 6 months ago I died in a hospital bed at 32 years old, broken and alone while she was living my life in Paris. She doesn't know that I woke up 3 years in the past, in my 29-year-old body with every humiliating memory intact. And she definitely doesn't know that Homeland Security is waiting for her on the other side of those doors. My phone buzzes. It's Agent Morrison. "She's in processing now. Tried to use your passport. We've got her." I close my eyes and let myself feel it. The pure crystalline satisfaction of a trap 3 years in the making snapping shut exactly as planned. "Thank you," I whisper. In my first life, I didn't find out what Maya had done until it was too late, until the federal agents showed up at my door asking why I'd been flagged entering the country illegally, why there were warrants out for my arrest in 3 countries, why my face was connected to a smuggling operation I'd never heard of. I spent 2 years fighting charges, my savings drained on lawyers, my reputation destroyed. By the time I proved it wasn't me in those security photos, that someone had surgically altered their face to look like mine after stealing my passport, I had nothing left. No job, no money, no one who believed me. Well, almost no one. My parents believed Maya's tears over mine. They believed her when she said I was trying to frame her for my own crimes. They believed her when she produced falsified evidence that I'd given her the passport willingly, that we were in it together, and I was just trying to save myself. I died alone because my own sister stole my identity and wore my face, and everyone I loved chose to believe her instead of me. But that's the thing about Rebirth. You get to rewrite the ending. The automatic doors slide open, and there she is. Maya looks exactly like I remember from this moment in my first life. Chic in her Parisian clothes, her hair perfectly styled, her designer sunglasses perched on her head. She's laughing at something the man next to her is saying, her hand on his arm. She looks like she doesn't have a care in the world. She looks like she's won. Behind her, I can see the Homeland Security agents moving into position. She hasn't noticed them yet. She's too busy being charming, too confident in her disguise, too certain that she's pulled off the perfect crime. I want to savor this moment forever. Let me back up. Let me tell you how we got here. 3 years ago, I woke up screaming. The last thing I remembered was the cancer, the pain, the empty hospital room, the sound of machines beeping as my heart finally gave out. Alone because my family couldn't be bothered to visit the daughter they'd disowned. Then I was in my apartment, the old apartment I'd lived in before everything fell apart, and my phone was ringing. The date on the screen said it was 3 years earlier. 3 years before my arrest. 3 years before my life imploded. I answered the phone in a daze. "Mara, finally!" It was Maya's voice, bright and energetic. "I've been calling you for 20 minutes. Did you get my text about borrowing your passport?" My blood turned to ice. "What?" I managed. "Your passport. Mine expired and I have a last-minute trip to London for work. You know how long it takes to renew. I'll literally only need it for a week. I'll bring it right back, I promise." In my first life, I'd said yes. I'd said yes because Maya was my little sister, and I loved her, and I didn't think twice about helping her out. I didn't know that work trip was code for smuggling operation. I didn't know she was going to take my passport to a forger who would help her get plastic surgery to match my face. I didn't know she was going to spend the next 2 years committing federal crimes while looking exactly like me. "No," I said, silence on the other end. Then, "What do you mean, no?" "I mean, no, Maya. You can't borrow my passport. That's illegal." She laughed. "Don't be ridiculous. We're sisters. We look alike anyway. No one will even notice." "We look nothing alike," I said. Maya had our father's angular features and dark coloring. I had our mother's softer face and lighter hair. And it's identity fraud. The answer is no. "Wow." Her voice went cold. "Okay, Mara, be like that. I guess I know where I stand with you. She hung up. I sat there shaking, holding my phone, trying to process what had just happened. I was alive. I was 3 years in the past. I had a chance to stop everything before it started. But I also knew Maya. I knew she wouldn't just accept my refusal. In my first life, she'd somehow gotten access to my passport anyway. I'd never figured out how. She'd stolen it from my apartment while I was at work, and then she'd disappeared for 2 years, leaving me to face the consequences of her crimes. If I wanted to stop her, I'd need to be smarter this time. I called Agent Morrison the next day. Actually, I didn't know he was Agent Morrison yet. I just knew from my first life that there was a Homeland Security task force investigating international smuggling operations, and that they'd eventually connected those operations to me, to Maya wearing my face. What I didn't know in my first life was that I could have contacted them first, that I could have given them everything they needed to catch her in the act. The agent who answered was skeptical at first. "You're calling to report a crime that hasn't happened yet?" "My sister is planning to steal my passport and commit identity fraud," I said. "She's going to get plastic surgery to look like me, and then she's going to use my identity to smuggle goods across international borders. I want to stop her before she destroys my life." "That's quite a specific accusation, Ms. Chen." "I know my sister," I said, which was true in ways he couldn't imagine. "And I know she's involved with people who do this kind of thing. I can give you names, dates, connections. I can help you build a case. But I need protection. I need you to flag my passport, monitor my identity, and be ready to move when she makes her attempt." There was a long pause. Then, "Why don't you come in and we'll talk about this?" I spent 3 months giving them everything. Every conversation I remembered from my first life, every detail Maya had let slip before the arrest, every connection I'd pieced together during my legal battle. I told them about her boyfriend, Marcus, who I'd later learned was the ringleader of the smuggling operation. I told them about the forger in Queens who specialized in passport alterations. I told them about the plastic surgeon in Connecticut who asked no questions if you paid in cash. Agent Morrison, I learned his name during our second meeting, was thorough. "Most of what you're telling us we can't act on without evidence, but we can flag your passport. If anyone tries to use it, we'll know immediately." "That's all I need," I said. "Just be ready when she makes her move." "You really think your own sister would do this to you?" I met his eyes. "I know she would." But flagging the passport wasn't enough. I needed to make sure Maya would actually try to steal it. In my first life, she'd had easy access. We were close then, and I'd given her a spare key to my apartment for emergencies. This time, I'd refuse to lend her the passport directly. She'd have to work harder. So I made it easy in other ways. I mentioned in a family dinner that I kept all my important documents in the safe in my closet. I mentioned the combination in a text message exchange with our mother, knowing Maya would see it on Mom's phone. I made sure Maya knew I was planning a weekend trip out of town, that my apartment would be empty. I baited the trap and waited. She took it. I came home 2 days early from my trip to find my safe open and my passport gone. I felt sick seeing it, confirmation that even with my refusal, even with the relationship damage, Maya was still willing to betray me, still willing to steal from me, still so convinced of her own cleverness that she thought she could get away with it. I called Agent Morrison immediately. "She took it," I said. "My passport is gone." "We'll start tracking it now," he said. "The moment anyone tries to use it at a border crossing, we'll be notified." "Do you have any idea where she might be going?" "London first," I said, remembering, "then Paris. That's where Marcus has his operation based." Over the next 6 months, I watched it unfold exactly as it had before. Maya disappeared without a word to the family, leaving me to field questions about where she'd gone. Marcus's name started showing up in security databases. The passport was flagged at Heathrow, but Maya slipped through before agents could respond. She was good. I had to give her that. But every time the passport was used, the net tightened a little more. Agent Morrison kept me updated. "We've connected your sister to 3 major smuggling operations: high-end designer goods, pharmaceuticals, some weapons. She's using your identity to move products across borders. and she's made enough money that she's become a priority target. How long until you can arrest her? I asked. We need to catch her in the act. We need to be able to prove she's using your identity fraudulently, and we need to connect her directly to the smuggled goods. If we move too early, her lawyers will argue she's just a courier who didn't know what she was carrying. So what do we do? He smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. We wait for her to get cocky. The hardest part was my family. Without the arrest, without the scandal, I was still on good terms with my parents. They asked about Maya constantly. Where was she? Why wasn't she returning their calls? Was I in touch with her? I played dumb. I don't know, Mom. We had a fight a while back and she's been distant. I'm sure she'll reach out when she's ready. My mother pursed her lips. You two have always been so different. Maya's the adventurous one, always off having experiences. You're more settled. The word hung in the air like an insult. Settled. Boring. Safe. In my first life, I tried so hard to be what my parents wanted. Stable, responsible, present. And it had meant nothing when Maya spun her lies. They'd chosen to believe the adventurous daughter over the settled one. This time, I didn't bother defending myself. Let them think what they wanted. Soon enough, they'd see who their daughters really were. The break came on a Tuesday. Agent Morrison called me at work. She's coming back to the States. Flying in from Paris tomorrow morning, landing at JFK. We've coordinated with customs. The moment she tries to enter the country using your passport, we'll have her. My heart hammered. You're sure? We've been tracking the booking. She's traveling with Marcus Chen. We think he's her boyfriend, definitely her partner in the smuggling ring. They're both flagged. We'll arrest them both. I want to be there, I said. Ms. Chen, I want to watch. I want to see her face when she realizes she's caught. I took a breath. Please, after everything she's put me through, everything she was going to put me through, I need this. There was a long pause, then, I'll arrange it, but you stay back and you stay quiet. This is still an active federal operation. Thank you, I whispered. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying memories from my first life. The knock on my door, the agents with their grim faces and their handcuffs, the way my parents looked at me with horror and disappointment, the trial, the lawyer bills, the slow, grinding destruction of everything I'd built, and Maya's tears. Her perfect, practiced tears as she told the court I was trying to frame her. As she produced fake emails she'd created showing that I'd recruited her into the smuggling operation. As she painted herself as the victim of her older sister's manipulation. I'd screamed that she was lying. I'd begged people to believe me. But she was so convincing, and I was so desperate, and desperation looks like guilt. Not this time. This time, I had evidence. I had witnesses. I had federal agents who'd been tracking her every move for 6 months. This time, there was no way for her to twist the narrative. This time, I win. Now, standing in the terminal watching her walk toward her doom, I feel something settle in my chest. Not quite peace, not yet, but the beginning of it. Maya's still laughing with Marcus, oblivious. They're almost to the exit doors when 3 agents in dark suits step into their path. Agent Morrison is in the center, his badge held high. Maya Chen? Marcus Chen? Homeland Security, you're both under arrest. I watch the color drain from Maya's face. Watch her eyes go wide with shock and fear. Watch her try to spin, to run, but there are agents behind her too, and there's nowhere to go. There must be some mistake, she says, and her voice is shaking. I didn't. You attempted to enter the country using a fraudulent passport, Agent Morrison says. A passport belonging to your sister, Mara Chen. We have footage of you using this passport at multiple international border crossings over the past 6 months. We have evidence linking you to multiple smuggling operations. You have the right to remain silent. Maya's eyes dart around frantically, and that's when she sees me. I'm standing 20 feet away, and I make no effort to hide. I want her to see me. I want her to know that I'm here, that I watched this happen, that I made this happen. Our eyes lock. For a moment, neither of us moves. Then her face transforms. Shock becomes rage, becomes calculation, all in the span of seconds. She opens her mouth to call my name, to accuse me, to try one more lie. But Agent Morrison is already cuffing her hands, and Marcus is shouting something about lawyers, and the moment passes. They're led away. Maya keeps looking back at me, her expression a mixture of disbelief and fury. She still doesn't understand. She still thinks there's a way out of this, some angle she hasn't considered, some lie that will save her. She doesn't understand that I've already lived through her lies, that I spent 2 years watching her destroy me from the witness stand, that I died alone because she was willing to sacrifice me to save herself. There's no escape this time. The evidence is airtight, the charges are federal, and everyone who matters knows the truth. Agent Morrison approaches me. Once they're gone. That was quite a look your sister gave you. She knows I set her up, I say. My voice is steady. She knows, but she can't prove anything, can she? No, he says. From our perspective, you're a victim who came to us with concerns about your sister's activities. You cooperated with our investigation. You did everything right. He pauses. Although I have to admit, your information was eerily accurate. Almost like you knew exactly what she was planning before she did it. I meet his eyes. I know my sister, I say. I know what she's capable of. He nods slowly. Well, she's looking at 10 to 15 years for the smuggling charges alone. Add in the identity fraud, passport fraud, and a few other federal crimes we've documented aside, she'll be away for a long time. Good, I say. He hands me a card. If you need anything, protection, counseling, help with the press, contact me. This is going to be all over the news. Sisters and federal smuggling sting. The media loves this stuff. I take the card. Thank you, Agent Morrison, for believing me. Thank you for trusting us, he says. Then he's gone, following his team out of the terminal. I stand there for a moment, alone in the crowd, letting it sink in. It's over. Maya can't hurt me anymore. She can't steal my identity, my reputation, my life. She's going to prison, and I'm free. But there's still one more thing I need to do. I call my parents from the parking lot. Mara! My mother sounds delighted. We haven't heard from you in a week. How are you? I'm fine, Mom. Is Dad there? I need to talk to you both. Of course, honey. Let me put you on speaker. A rustling sound, then my father's voice. Mara, everything okay? I take a breath. I need to tell you something about Maya. The silence that follows is wary. What about Maya? My mother asks. She's been arrested at JFK about an hour ago. She's being charged with multiple federal crimes, including identity theft, passport fraud, and international smuggling. What? My father's voice is sharp. That's impossible. Maya would never. She stole my passport 6 months ago, I continue, cutting him off. She got plastic surgery to look like me. She's been using my identity to smuggle goods across international borders. Homeland Security has been investigating her for months. They arrested her when she tried to enter the country using my documents. No, my mother says. No, Mara, there's been a mistake. Maya wouldn't do that to you. You must have. Did you give her the passport? Did you help her with something and now you're trying to. I didn't give her anything, I say, and my voice is ice. She broke into my apartment and stole it from my safe. I reported it to Homeland Security immediately. They've been tracking her ever since. They have evidence, Mom. Video footage, financial records, everything. She's guilty. You reported your own sister? My father sounds horrified. You went to the police instead of coming to us? Instead of trying to handle it as a family? And there it is, the same instinct that destroyed me in my first life. Protect Maya. Give her the benefit of the doubt. Sacrifice Mara if necessary, but keep Maya safe. I protected myself, I say, because Maya was going to destroy my life. She was committing federal crimes using my identity, and if I hadn't reported her, I'd be the one facing charges right now. I'd be the one going to prison for her crimes. You don't know that, my mother says. You're assuming the worst about your sister. Maybe there's an explanation. Maybe she was forced into this, or maybe she didn't know what she was carrying, and Mom, stop. My hands are shaking. I know this is hard to hear. I know you want to believe Maya is innocent, but she's not. She made her choices, and now she's facing the consequences. And I need you to understand that I will not apologize for protecting myself from her. She's your sister, my father says. Family protects family. She stopped being my family when she stole my identity, I say. When she decided her crimes were worth more than my freedom. You can choose to support her if you want. You can believe her lies, visit her in prison, pay for her lawyers. But if you do, you're choosing her over me, and I won't forget that. Another silence. Then my mother, her voice tight. I think you're being very unfair, Mara, and very selfish. Maya is going to need us more than ever. Then you've made your choice, I say. Goodbye, Mom. Goodbye, Dad. I hang up before they can respond. My hands are still shaking, but there's a strange lightness in my chest. In my first life, I'd spent 2 years begging my parents to believe me. Begging them to see that Maya was lying, that I was innocent, that they were supporting the wrong daughter. It had been useless. They'd chosen Maya every time until I had nothing left. This time, I'd said what I needed to say, and then I'd walked away. Their choice was their problem. I wasn't going to beg for their love anymore. I drive home in silence, watching the city lights blur past. My apartment, my real apartment, the one I'd almost lost in my first life, is waiting. My job is secure, my reputation is intact, my life is mine. For the first time in 2 lifetimes, I'm free. The news breaks the next morning. Federal smuggling ring bust, sister steals identity for international crime spree. The story is everywhere. Cable news, newspapers, Twitter, TikTok. Photos of Maya being let out of JFK in handcuffs. Photos of me pulled from my social media, with captions calling me the victim and the brave whistleblower. My phone explodes with notifications. Friends I haven't spoken to in years reaching out with shock and support. Coworkers sending messages of disbelief. Journalists requesting interviews, and my parents calling and texting nonstop. We need to talk. This is getting out of hand. Please call us. Back. I ignore them all. Instead, I call Agent Morrison. I'm getting media requests, I say. Should I talk to them? That's up to you, he says. But if you do, stick to the facts. You discovered your passport was missing. You reported it to us. We conducted an investigation. Don't speculate about your sister's motives or her guilt. That's for the courts to decide. Understood. For what it's worth, he adds, you handled this exactly right. A lot of people in your situation wouldn't have come forward. They'd have tried to protect their family member and ended up implicated in the crimes. You saved yourself a lot of pain. More than you know, I think. Thank you, Agent Morrison. I do one interview, one with a major network to tell my side of the story. I'm calm, composed, and careful with my words. I explain that I noticed discrepancies with my passport documentation, that I had concerns about my sister's activities, that I did the responsible thing and contacted the authorities. The interviewer leans in. Were you surprised when you learned the extent of your sister's crimes? Yes, I lie. I knew she was involved in something questionable, but I had no idea it was this serious. And how do you feel about her arrest? I pause, choosing my words carefully. I feel relieved that I'm not being held responsible for crimes I didn't commit. I feel grateful to Homeland Security for taking my concerns seriously. And I feel sad that my sister made the choices she did. It's perfect. Sympathetic without being defensive, clear without being accusatory. The kind of statement that makes me look like a tragic victim instead of a calculated architect of revenge. The interview goes viral. Within hours, I'm being praised for my bravery. People are calling me a hero for standing up to family corruption and choosing justice over loyalty. The narrative writes itself. The good sister versus the bad sister. The responsible one versus the reckless one. No one questions how I knew exactly what Maya was planning. No one asks why my information was so accurate, why my predictions were so precise. They see what they want to see, a victim who got lucky, who happened to contact authorities at exactly the right time. Only I know the truth. Only I know that I lived through this once before, that I carried the scars of Maya's betrayal through death and into rebirth, that every move I made was calculated to ensure she couldn't hurt me again. And I'll never tell. This secret is mine alone. 3 weeks later, I get a call from an unknown number. I almost don't answer, but something makes me pick up. Mara? It's Maya's voice, thin and strained. You're allowed to make phone calls from jail, I ask. It's not jail, it's a holding facility, and yes, I get phone calls. She sounds exhausted. I need to talk to you. I don't think that's a good idea. Please. 5 minutes, just listen. Against my better judgment, I don't hang up. Talk. I know you set me up, she says. I don't know how, but I know you did. You knew exactly what I was planning. You went to Homeland Security before I even took your passport. I reported a theft. I interrupt Abastis. I noticed my passport was missing and I contacted the authorities. That's what any responsible person would do. Bullshit. Her voice rises. You knew about Marcus. You knew about the routes. You knew about the surgery. How, Mara? How did you know? I know you, I say simply. I know how you think. I know you're impulsive and greedy, and you've always thought you were smarter than everyone else. It wasn't hard to predict what you'd do. You ruined my life. The laugh that escapes me is harsh. I ruined your life? Maya, you stole my identity. You were going to let me take the fall for your crimes. You were going to destroy me and not lose a second of sleep over it. I was going to cut you in, she shouts. I was going to give you half the money. That's why I needed your passport, so we could both profit from— I don't believe you, I say flatly. And even if that were true, I'm not interested in being a criminal. I have a life I actually care about, a reputation I've built, a future I'm not willing to sacrifice. You were willing to gamble all of that away for some money. That's the difference between us. Mom and Dad are devastated, she says. They're crying every day. They're blaming you for not trying to help me, for going to the police instead of coming to them. They made their choice, I say. Just like you did. Just like I did. We all have to live with the consequences. You're cold, she whispers. You're so cold, Mara. What happened to you? We used to be close. You used to care about me. Used to, past tense. She's right about that, at least. I did care about you, I say. Right up until you decided I was expendable. Right up until you stole from me and tried to frame me for your crimes. You destroyed whatever sisterly love I had left. I never tried to frame you. I was just— Your lawyer's gonna tell you to stop talking to me, I interrupt. Anything you say can be used against you in court. So, let me make this easy. I'm not testifying on your behalf. I'm not writing a character witness letter. I'm not asking the prosecutor for leniency. If they ask me to testify against you, I will. If they ask me to provide evidence, I will. I am not on your side, Maya. Not anymore. They're offering me a plea deal, she says quietly. 10 years if I cooperate. If I give them information about Marcus and the others, but my lawyer says if I go to trial, if I can create reasonable doubt, I might get off with less. I understand what she's asking. She wants to know if I'll be a weak point in the prosecution's case. If there's any chance she can manipulate me, use our history, make me seem like an unreliable witness. Take the plea deal, I say. Because if you go to trial, I will bury you. I will testify about every crime you committed, every lie you told, every time you stole from me or betrayed my trust. I will make sure the jury sees exactly who you are. 10 years will look like mercy compared to what you'll get if you make me take that stand. Silence. Then her voice barely audible. I hate you. I know, I say. But I'm the one who's free and you're the one in custody, so I can live with that. I hang up. My hands are shaking again, but not with fear. With relief. With finality. That conversation was closure in a way I never got in my first life. I got to say what I needed to say, I got to make my position clear, and I got to hear Maya's hatred and know that it doesn't touch me anymore. She can hate me all she wants from her prison cell. I'll be out here living the life she tried to steal. The trial date is set for 6 months away, but Maya takes the plea deal after 3 months. Her lawyer must have finally convinced her that fighting was useless. The evidence is overwhelming. The testimony is damning. And I've made it clear I'll be a hostile witness. 10 years in federal prison. She'll be out in 8 with good behavior, but still, 8 years. My parents try one last time to guilt me into forgiveness. They show up at my apartment unannounced, looking haggard and angry. "Your sister is going to prison because of you," my father says without preamble. "My sister is going to prison because she committed federal crimes," I correct. "I didn't force her to steal my passport. I didn't force her to get plastic surgery. I didn't force her to smuggle illegal goods across international borders. She made those choices herself." "You could have talked to us," my mother says. Her eyes are red from crying. "You could have given us a chance to intervene before you went to the police. We could have gotten her help, gotten her into rehab or therapy, or..." "She didn't need rehab, Mom. She wasn't addicted to anything. She was greedy. She wanted money and excitement, and she didn't care who she hurt to get it." I cross my arms, Yinas, and I'm not going to apologize for protecting myself from her. "She's your sister," my father repeats, like that should mean something. "She was my sister," I say. Past tense. The moment she decided to steal my identity, she gave up any claim to my loyalty or protection. You can choose to enable her, to make excuses for her, to support her despite everything she's done. But I won't, and I need you to leave now. "You're going to regret this," my mother says. "You're going to regret abandoning your family when things got hard. You're going to end up alone, Mara, bitter and alone." I smile. It's not a nice smile. "Maybe, but I'll be alone with my freedom, my reputation, and my clean conscience." Maya will be alone in a prison cell with 8 years to think about her choices. I know which option I prefer. They leave. I don't hear from them again. Months pass, then a year. I watch the seasons change. Through my apartment window, watch the city transform from winter to spring to summer to fall. I go to work. I spend time with friends. I start dating someone I meet at a coffee shop. A kind, stable man who thinks I'm brave for standing up to my sister, who doesn't know the half of what I did to put her away. I build a life, a real life, not the careful, precarious existence I had in my first lifetime. I get a promotion. I move to a better apartment. I travel to places I never got to see before, places Maya ruined for me in my first life by committing crimes in my name. And I don't think about her, not really. Sometimes I see news updates about prison reform or federal sentencing, and I wonder if she's seen them too. If she's sitting in her cell thinking about how unfair it all is. But mostly, she's just gone. A closed chapter, a problem solved. Agent Morrison sends me an email 2 years after the arrest. "Thought you'd want to know, Marcus Chen was convicted last month. 15 years. We've dismantled his entire operation. You helped take down one of the biggest smuggling rings on the East Coast." I write back, "Thank you for everything." He responds, "You're a survivor, Ms. Chen. You should be proud." I am. Not just proud, I'm victorious. I took the worst thing that ever happened to me, the betrayal that killed me in my first life, and I turned it into justice. I used the gift of rebirth to rewrite my story, to make sure the villain didn't win this time. Some people would call what I did revenge. They'd say I was vindictive, that I could have handled it differently, that I should have given Maya a chance to explain or reform or change. But those people never lived through what I lived through. They never spent 2 years fighting false charges. They never watched their own sister lie on the witness stand, tears streaming down her face, painting herself as the victim. They never died alone and broken because everyone they loved chose the wrong side. I did. And I decided that in my second chance at life, I wasn't going to be the victim anymore. 5 years after Maya's arrest, I get a letter. It's from her, forwarded through her lawyer because I blocked all her other attempts at contact. I almost throw it away without reading it, but curiosity gets the better of me. "Dear Mara," it starts. "I've had a lot of time to think in here. 5 years of time, to be exact. My therapist says I need to take accountability for my actions, so that's what I'm trying to do. I stole from you. I lied to you. I was willing to let you take the fall for my crimes. I told myself that you'd be fine, that you were always the smart one, the responsible one, that you'd figure out a way to clear your name. But the truth is, I didn't care. I wanted the money and the thrill, and you were just a means to an end. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything. I know you probably hate me, and you have every right to. I destroyed our relationship. I destroyed our family. I destroyed any chance we had at being sisters again. I don't know how you knew what I was planning. My lawyer says you probably just got lucky, that you happened to report the theft at the right time, and it snowballed from there. But I don't think it was luck. I think you knew exactly what I was going to do somehow, and you made sure I'd face the consequences. Part of me is angry about that. Part of me still wants to blame you, to say you could have warned me, could have given me a chance to change my mind. But the other part, the part that's been in therapy for 5 years, the part that's had to look at myself clearly for the first time in my life, that part knows you had no obligation to save me from myself. I made my choices. You made yours. And here we are. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking for anything, really. I just wanted you to know that I understand now. I understand that I hurt you. I understand that you had every right to protect yourself from me. I understand that I'm in here because of my own actions, not because you set me up or betrayed me. I hope you're happy, Mara. I hope you're living a good life. I hope you found peace. I'll be out in 3 more years. When I get out, I'll stay far away from you. I'll never contact you again unless you reach out first. I'll respect your boundaries and your decision to cut me out of your life. This is goodbye, I guess. Thank you for being my sister once. I'm sorry I wasn't a better one. Maya. I read the letter 3 times, looking for the trick, looking for the manipulation, the hidden agenda, the way she's trying to worm back into my life. But I can't find it. The letter sounds genuine, honest, like she's actually accepted responsibility for once in her life. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't undo what she did in my first life, or what she tried to do in this one. It doesn't make us family again. But it does give me something I didn't have before. Confirmation that I made the right choice. I fold the letter carefully and put it in a drawer. Not to keep it close, but to have proof if I ever doubt myself. Proof that Maya knew what she did was wrong. Proof that she understood why I turned on her. Proof that even she admits I was justified. I don't write back. There's nothing left to say. 3 years later, I'm at a coffee shop when I see her. She looks different, older, thinner, with lines around her eyes that weren't there before. Her hair is pulled back in a simple ponytail, no designer clothes, no expensive jewelry. She's standing in line, staring at the menu like it's written in a foreign language. She hasn't seen me yet. I could leave. I could slip out before she notices me, avoid the awkward confrontation, maintain the clean break we've had for 8 years. But I don't. I stay in my seat, my coffee growing cold in front of me, and I watch her. She orders something simple, just a regular coffee, and pays with carefully counted cash. When she turns to find a seat, her eyes land on me. We both freeze. For a long moment, neither of us moves. Then slowly, she walks over to my table. Mara, she says, her voice is uncertain. I didn't expect to see you. I live in this neighborhood, I say. Do you? I'm staying at a halfway house about 6 blocks from here. I was released last month. She shifts her weight. I wasn't going to contact you. I promised I wouldn't. You kept your promise, I acknowledge. Can I? She gestures at the empty chair across from me. Or would you rather I leave? I should tell her to leave. I should maintain the boundary, protect myself, refuse to let her back into my life even for a 5-minute conversation. But I'm curious. I want to see what 8 years in prison did to her. I want to see if she's really changed or if this is just another act. Sit, I say. She sits, clutching her coffee cup like a lifeline. You look good, she offers. Happy. I am happy. I'm glad. She seems to mean it. I've thought about you a lot. Wondered what you were doing, if you'd moved on, if you ever thought about me. Sometimes, I admit. Not often. You're not a big part of my life anymore. She flinches but nods. I understand. I wanted you to know that I really am sorry. I know I said it in my letter, but saying it to your face feels more real. Okay, I say. Thank you. Are mom and dad, are they still? She can't finish the sentence. I don't know, I say. We don't talk. They chose to support you, and I chose to walk away. Last I heard, they were doing fine. They haven't visited me since I got out, she says quietly. I've called them a few times, but they don't answer. I think they're ashamed of me now that they can't deny what I did anymore. There's a bitter irony in that. In my first life, they supported Maya to the end, convinced of her innocence. In this life, with her plea deal and admission of guilt, they can't pretend anymore. They have to face the fact that their daughter is a criminal, and apparently, that's too much for them. I don't feel sorry for them. They made their choice when it mattered. I'm sorry to hear that, I say, and I mean it. Not because I think they deserve Maya's company, but because I know what it's like to be abandoned by your parents. Even Maya doesn't deserve that. I'm working at a grocery store, she volunteers. Stocking shelves, night shift. It's not glamorous, but it's honest work. And my probation officer says if I keep it up, I might be able to get a better job eventually. That's good, I say. And I realize I actually mean that too. I don't want Maya to suffer forever. I just wanted her to face consequences for what she did. And she has. I'm not asking to be in your life again, she says. I know that's not possible. I wanted you to know I'm trying. I'm trying to be better than I was. I look at her, really look at her. At the woman she's become after 8 years of consequences. At the lines of regret and exhaustion on her face. At the genuine humility in her eyes. She's not the Maya I remember. Not the arrogant, reckless sister who thought she could get away with anything. Not the crying defendant who tried to lie her way out of prison. She's someone new. Someone who's been broken and is trying to rebuild herself into something decent. I believe you, I say finally. I believe you're trying. Her eyes well up with tears. Thank you, she whispers. But, I continue, and her face falls. That doesn't mean I'm ready to have you in my life. Maybe someday, maybe never. I don't know yet. I need more time. I understand, she says quickly. I do. Take all the time you need. I'll be here working on myself, and if you ever decide you want to talk again, I'll be grateful. And if you never want to see me again, I'll understand that too. We sit in silence for a moment. Then she stands, picking up her coffee. I should go, she says. I have to get to work soon. But Mara, thank you for listening and for believing that I'm trying. That means more than you know. I nod. Take care of yourself, Maya. You too. She walks out of the coffee shop and I watch her go. There's no dramatic reconciliation, no tearful hug, no promise of sisterhood restored. Just a brief civil conversation between two people who used to be family and might, maybe, find their way back to something like it someday. Or might not. And I'm okay with either outcome. Because the thing about Rebirth is that it's not just about revenge. It's about reclaiming your life, your power, your choice. I chose to protect myself. I chose to turn Maya in. I chose to walk away from my parents when they didn't support me. And now I'm choosing to leave the door open, just a crack, just enough to see if Maya can truly become someone worth knowing again. But I'm also choosing to protect myself, to maintain my boundaries, to remember what she did and what she was capable of. I finish my coffee and head home. My real home, in my real life. The one I built from the ashes of my first lifetime. The one Maya tried to destroy and failed. I'm free. I'm happy. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And if Maya can find her own path to redemption, I'll be glad for her, but it won't be my responsibility to guide her there. That's her journey to make alone. 10 years after the arrest, I'm at a professional conference when someone approaches me after my presentation. Mara Chen? Hi, I'm Jennifer Ross from Homeland Security. I was hoping to talk to you for a moment. My heart skips, but her smile is friendly, not official. Is something wrong? Not at all. Actually, I'm here recruiting. We're building a task force focused on identity theft and fraud prevention, and your name came up. Your case, what happened with your sister, became a bit of a teaching example in our department. The way you identified the threat, early, documented everything, and worked with our agents to build a case. It was textbook fraud prevention. I blink. I just did what anyone would do. No, she says seriously, most people don't. Most people doubt themselves, or they try to handle things privately, or they miss the warning signs entirely. You didn't. You acted quickly and decisively, and because of that, we were able to shut down a major criminal operation. What exactly are you recruiting for? I ask. We're looking for consultants. People who understand how fraud works from the victim's perspective. People who can help us design better systems to catch identity theft before it escalates. People who can train our agents to recognize warning signs. The pay is good, and it would be part-time so you could keep your current job if you wanted. I consider it. It's been 10 years since I turned Maya in. 10 years since I rebuilt my life. I'm successful, stable, happy. I don't need this job. But there's something appealing about turning my experience into something useful, about helping other people avoid what I went through twice in 2 different lifetimes. I'm interested, I say. Tell me more. We talk for an hour. By the end of the conversation, I've agreed to come in for a formal interview. Within 2 months, I'm working part-time for Homeland Security, teaching agents how to identify and prevent identity fraud. It's satisfying work. Every case I help solve, every victim I help protect feels like I'm paying forward the justice I received. It also feels like the ultimate vindication, turning Maya's crime into my career, using her betrayal as the foundation for helping others. Sometimes, during training sessions, I'll mention my case as an example. I don't use Maya's name, just my sister. I talk about the warning signs I noticed, the steps I took to protect myself, the importance of acting quickly even when it feels like you're betraying family. The agents always have questions. How did you know what she was planning? Weren't you tempted to give her a chance to explain? How did you cope with the family fallout? I answer honestly. I knew because I paid attention to her behavior patterns. I wasn't tempted because I understood the stakes. I coped by prioritizing my own well-being over family loyalty. What I don't tell them is that I knew because I'd lived it before, that I coped because I'd already survived the worst-case scenario and refused to live through it again. That's my secret. The gift of rebirth is mine alone. 15 years after the arrest, I get a wedding invitation. It's from Maya. She's marrying someone named David, a man I've never met. The ceremony will be small, family only, at a courthouse. There's a handwritten note inside. I know I have no right to ask, but it would mean everything to me if you were there. You're still my sister, even if I haven't been much of one to you. No pressure. Just know you're invited. Love, Maya. I stare at the invitation for a long time. I haven't seen Maya since that coffee shop encounter 10 years ago. I've heard about her occasionally through mutual acquaintances, through background checks I run periodically to make sure she's staying clean. I know she finished her probation 5 years ago. I know she went back to school and got a degree in social work. I know she works at a nonprofit now, helping formerly incarcerated women reintegrate into society. She's built a life, a good life, an honest life. But she's still the sister who betrayed me. Still the woman who tried to destroy me in my first lifetime and would have succeeded if I hadn't been given a second chance. Can I forgive that? Should I? I think about the last 15 years of my life, the career I've built, the relationship I'm in. I've been dating Marcus, different Marcus, not the criminal, for 5 years now, and we're talking about getting engaged. The friendships I've nurtured, the peace I've found. None of that required Maya's presence. None of that depended on reconciliation or forgiveness. I built my happiness without her, and I'm proud of that, but I think about the Maya I saw in that coffee shop, the broken woman trying to rebuild herself. I think about the years she's spent working on herself, trying to make amends, trying to become someone worthy of respect. I think about the fact that I've had 15 years of freedom and success while she's had 15 years of consequences and growth. The scales have balanced. Justice has been served. Maybe it's time to let go. I RSVP yes to the wedding. The courthouse is small and plain. There are maybe 20 people in attendance. Maya's fiancé's family, a few friends, and sitting in the front row, our parents. I haven't seen them in 15 years. They look older, grayer. When I walk in, my mother gasps and my father stands up, but I ignore them and take a seat in the back. Maya sees me as she's walking down the aisle. Our eyes meet and I see her face transform. Shock, joy, tears. She mouths thank you and I nod once. The ceremony is brief and sweet. Maya's fiancé seems kind, steady, the sort of man who knows her history and loves her anyway. When they exchange vows, Maya's voice breaks and I find myself genuinely hoping they'll be happy together. At the reception, a small gathering at a nearby restaurant, Maya approaches me immediately. "You came," she says, and she's crying. "I can't believe you came." "Congratulations," I say. "He seems good for you." "He is. He's the best thing that's ever happened to me." She wipes her eyes. "I never thought I'd see you again. I thought you'd hate me forever." "I don't hate you," I say, and I'm surprised to realize it's true. I did for a long time, but I don't anymore. Too much energy. "Can we?" She gestures to a quiet corner. "Can we talk just for a minute?" We move away from the crowd. Maya takes a deep breath. "I need you to know that I've spent the last 15 years trying to become someone you could be proud of, someone worthy of being your sister again. I know I can't undo what I did. I know I can't give you back the years I stole from you, but I want you to know that I've changed. I'm not that person anymore." "I believe you," I say. "I've been keeping tabs on you, periodically. I know about your degree, your work. You're doing good things." "You've been keeping tabs on me?" She looks surprised. "Old habits from my Homeland Security consulting work," I say with a slight smile. "But also because I needed to know you were staying clean, that you weren't going to come back into my life and cause problems." "And?" she asks tentatively. "You're clean," I confirm. "You've built a good life. You should be proud of yourself." She starts crying again. "Thank you. God, Mara, thank you. You have no idea how much I needed to hear that." We stand there for a moment. Two sisters who were once close, then became enemies, and are now, what? Not close again, not exactly friends, but maybe something like family. Maybe the beginning of forgiveness. "I don't know if we'll ever be close again," I say honestly. "I don't know if I can fully trust you again. But I can respect what you've become, and I can wish you well." "That's more than I deserve," she says. "More than I ever hoped for." "Maya," I say, and she looks up at me with red-rimmed eyes. "You hurt me in ways you'll never fully understand, but you've also faced the consequences, done the work, and become better. That matters. That counts for something." "I won't let you down again," she promises. "I hope not," I say, "because this is your last chance. If you ever betray me again, if you ever try to use me or hurt me or steal from me, I will not give you another opportunity. Do you understand?" "I understand," she says solemnly. "I swear on my life, Mara, I will never hurt you again." I nod. "Then I wish you and David all the happiness in the world." She hugs me. I let her, stiff at first, then gradually relaxing. It's not the same as it once was. There's too much history, too much pain. But it's something. It's a start. When we pull apart, she's smiling through her tears. Will you consider being in my life again? Maybe just coffee sometimes or phone calls?" "I know it's a lot to ask. Let's start slow," I say. "Maybe coffee in a few months. Maybe we build from there, but slowly, on my terms. Yes, she agrees immediately. Absolutely, whatever you're comfortable with. Our parents approach then, tentative and uncertain. Mara, my mother says, we've missed you so much. I look at the parents who chose to believe Maya's lies over my truth, who abandoned me when I needed them most, who, I later learned, spent years supporting Maya through her imprisonment, visiting her every month, never once reaching out to the daughter they'd accused of betrayal. I haven't missed you, I say clearly. You made your choice 15 years ago. You chose to support Maya instead of believing me. That was your right, but it cost you a daughter. We were wrong, my father says. We see that now. We should have. It's too late for that, I interrupt. I needed you then. I don't need you now. I've built a life without you, and it's a good life. You're not part of it anymore. My mother starts to cry. Please, Mara, we're your parents. Can't we at least try? No, I say firmly. Maya has earned a second chance through 15 years of work and growth. You haven't done anything to earn your way back into my life. You haven't apologized. You haven't acknowledged the harm you caused. You haven't done the work. Until you do, we have nothing to say to each other. I turn and walk away, leaving them standing there in shock. Maya catches up to me at the door. You didn't have to do that, she says quietly. I know they hurt you, but they're still our parents. They're not my parents anymore, I say. They gave up that right when they chose you over me. You've spent 15 years proving you're worthy of a second chance. They haven't. That's the difference. She nods slowly. I understand. And Mara, thank you for coming today, for giving me a chance, for being strong enough to set boundaries even when it's hard. Take care of yourself, Maya, I say. I'll call you in a few months. We'll have that coffee. I'll be waiting, she says. I leave the reception and walk out into the bright afternoon sun. My phone rings. It's Marcus asking how the wedding went. I smile and answer. It was fine, I tell him. Better than I expected, actually. I'll tell you about it when I get home. Love you, he says. Love you too. I drive home through the city I've made my own, past the places where I rebuilt my life brick by brick after Maya tried to destroy it. I think about the woman I've become, the survivor, the professional, the consultant who helps other victims find justice. I think about the choice I made to give Maya a second chance, to let her back into my life in small, careful increments. And I think about my parents, still standing in that restaurant, finally facing the consequences of their choices. Justice isn't just about punishment. It's about accountability, growth, and the willingness to change. Maya has done that work. My parents haven't. And I'm at peace with holding them to different standards because of it. The gift of rebirth wasn't just the chance to catch Maya before she destroyed me. It was the chance to build a life based on my own terms, my own choices, my own boundaries. And I've done exactly that. 20 years after the arrest, I'm giving a keynote speech at a national fraud prevention conference. The ballroom is packed with hundreds of law enforcement professionals, security experts, and victim advocates. I'm talking about my case, the one that started it all, and how it shaped my bid, a career in fraud prevention. Identity theft is more than just a crime, I say into the microphone. It's a violation of self. When someone steals your identity, they steal your reputation, your security, your peace of mind. They force you to prove you are who you say you are, which is one of the most dehumanizing experiences imaginable. I pause, making eye contact with the audience. When my sister stole my passport 20 years ago, she didn't just commit a crime. She tried to steal my entire life. She was willing to let me face federal charges, prison time, the destruction of everything I'd built. And she would have succeeded if I hadn't acted quickly and decisively. I clicked to the next slide, showing statistics about family member identity theft. The hardest frauds to prevent are the ones committed by people we trust, family members, close friends, intimate partners, because we want to believe the best of them. We want to give them the benefit of the doubt, and criminals exploit that trust ruthlessly. Another slide. This one shows a simple flowchart. Early intervention is everything. The moment you suspect identity theft, you must act. Document everything. Report to authorities immediately. Protect your credentials. Do not wait. Do not hope it will resolve itself. Do not prioritize family loyalty over your own protection. I see heads nodding throughout the audience. These are people who've seen the aftermath of delayed reporting, of victims who waited too long and suffered catastrophic consequences. I'm standing here today because I did those things. I reported the theft before it escalated. I worked with Homeland Security to build a case. I prioritized my own protection over family pressure. And as a result, I stopped a criminal before she could destroy my life. Final slide. It's a photo of me receiving an award for my consulting work. Turn your pain into purpose. Turn your trauma into expertise. Use what happened to you to help others avoid the same fate. That's the real victory, not just surviving, but using survival as a foundation for something meaningful. The applause is thunderous. People stand up. I see tears on some faces, determination on others. During the Q&A, someone asks the inevitable question, "Do you have a relationship with your sister now?" I smile. Yes, actually, a limited one. We have coffee a few times a year. We exchange holiday cards. She's been completely clean for 20 years, built an honest life, and done real work to make amends. I respect that. But we'll never be as close as we once were, and I'm okay with that. Some betrayals change the relationship forever, even when there's forgiveness. Another question. Do you regret turning her in? Not for a second, I say without hesitation. She committed federal crimes. She tried to frame me. The authorities needed to know. Anyone in my situation should do exactly what I did. Protect yourself first, worry about family fallout second. Your life is worth more than their feelings. After the speech, people line up to talk to me, victims sharing their stories, professionals asking for advice, students looking for mentorship. And at the back of the line, I see Maya. She's dressed professionally, her hair styled, her expression proud. When she reaches me, she smiles. "You were amazing up there," she says. "What are you doing here?" I ask, surprised. "I'm working the conference. My nonprofit has a booth in the exhibit hall. We help formerly incarcerated women prevent recidivism through job training and support services." She hands me a brochure. It's good work, important work. I look at the brochure, then back at her. "You've really made something of yourself." "I had a good example," she says quietly. "You showed me that rock bottom isn't the end, that you can face consequences, do the work, and build something better on the other side. I also showed you that betrayal has lasting consequences," I say pointedly, "that some things can't be fully repaired." "I know," she says, "and I accept that. I'm grateful for the relationship we do have. I don't take it for granted." We stand there for a moment, two women shaped by the same event, who went in completely different directions and somehow found their way to parallel paths. "Coffee next month?" I offer. "I'd like that," she says. She leaves, and I turn back to the line of people waiting to speak with me. Each conversation is a reminder of why I do this work, why I turned my worst experience into my life's mission. I help people for another hour, answering questions, offering resources, providing the kind of support I wish I'd had 20 years ago, well, in my first life. By the time I'm done, the ballroom is nearly empty. I pack up my materials, check my phone, 3 missed calls from Marcus, now my husband of 5 years, and head for the exit. In the lobby, I pass a group of young professionals discussing my speech. "Did you hear what she said about family loyalty?" one asks. "Yeah, that you have to protect yourself first. That's so harsh." "But she's right," another argues. "If her sister was committing federal crimes, what was she supposed to do? Take the fall for her?" "I guess not. It's just, I can't imagine turning in my own sister." "You've never had a sister try to destroy your life," the first one says. I smile to myself and keep walking. They don't understand, and that's okay. Most people don't. Most people never have to make that choice, never have to decide between family loyalty and self-preservation. I'm lucky in the worst way. I had to make that choice twice in 2 different lifetimes, and both times I chose survival. I have no regrets. Outside, the sun is setting over the city. I call Marcus back. "Hey," I say when he answers. "Sorry I missed your calls. The speech ran long." How'd it go? Really well. I think I helped some people today. That's my girl, he says warmly. I'm proud of you. Now come home. I made dinner. On my way, I say. I head for my car, my phone already buzzing with follow-up emails and LinkedIn requests. My consulting business is thriving. My marriage is happy. My life is exactly what I want it to be. And somewhere across town, Maya is working at a booth, helping other women find their second chances the way she found hers. We're both survivors, both transformed by that day 20 years ago when Homeland Security arrested her at JFK, when the trap I'd spent months setting finally snapped shut. The difference is, I designed the trap. I had the knowledge, the forewarning, the gift of rebirth. I used it to save myself and catch a criminal. Maya just had consequences, but she used them to become better. In the end, maybe we both got what we needed. Justice and redemption aren't mutually exclusive. They're just different stages of the same journey. I drive home through the evening traffic, content in the knowledge that I made the right choices. All of them. Every single one. And if I ever had to do it again, I'd make the same choices without hesitation. Because I learned the most important lesson of all. Your life is worth protecting, your peace is worth fighting for, and no one, not even family, has the right to destroy you for their own gain. I protected myself. I built something meaningful. I found happiness. And that, in the end, is the sweetest revenge of all.